I have this morning routine. I grab my coffee, I open up LinkedIn, and I swear, without fail, within maybe 3 or 4 swipes, I see it. The AI is over
Oh,
posts.
yeah. I tried it and the code was garbage genre.
Exactly. It's always a senior developer or maybe a really seasoned writer, and they'll post a screenshot of some code or a paragraph and just, tear it to shreds.
Spaghetti code, Purple Prose, the whole thing.
Right. It really feels like we've hit this, I don't know, this huge wall of disillusionment among professionals.
We have. And to be fair, if you look at their examples, they're not wrong.
Yeah.
The output they're showing usually is garbage.
Which is validating, sure. But that's where today's deep dive gets so interesting. We're looking at this piece beyond the search box, mastering AI collaboration. And the author's point is, yeah, the output is bad, but the machine isn't the problem.
No. The problem is the operator.
That is a very bold thing to say to an engineer with 20 years of experience.
It is, but the argument here is it's fascinating, and I think we have to take it seriously. The author says we're all making a category error. We're treating these massive, probabilistic models like they're just fancy search engines.
And when you treat a reasoning engine like a database, you get bad results.
He has a great analogy for it right at the start. It's like blaming a Formula One car for being hard to drive when you've only ever ridden a bicycle.
Right. If you jump in an F1 car and start trying to pedal, you're not going to get very far.
And you're going to look pretty ridiculous doing it.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. How do we actually drive the car? We need to unpack this Google mindset, figure out why we apparently need a whole portfolio of AIs in 2026, and talk about this 1-hour challenge that's supposed to fix our brains.
And the stakes are high here. The source argues this isn't about, writing emails a bit faster. This gap, this search versus collaboration gap, is going to be the career filter for the next 3 years.
That's the sentence that scared me. Okay, so let's start there. The Google mindset. I am, I think, 100% guilty of this. I treat the chat box like a slot machine. I type in my prompt, pull the handle, and just hope for a prize.
And that's the fundamental mistake. A search engine is transactional. It's built for retrieval. You ask for a fact, it retrieves it. The interaction is quick, and the expectation is immediate, perfect accuracy.
What's the capital of Australia? Canberra. Boom, done.
Exactly. But an LLM isn't retrieving info like that. It's generating it. It's predicting the next word based on this huge web of patterns. So when you come at it with a transactional prompt, like write me a Python script for this, you're giving it zero context.
And when it guesses wrong, I immediately think, well, this thing is useless.
The source calls that the vending machine fallacy. You put in a coin, you expect a snack. But when it gives you the wrong one, you just walk away frustrated. The alternative is what he calls the co-pilot mindset.
Okay, but I have to stop you there. Copilot is such a marketing buzzword now, it feels like it's lost all meaning.
I know. But in this context, it means something specific. Collaborative iteration. It means the process is supposed to be messy. It's a back and forth. The people getting amazing results, they're spending maybe 20% of their time on the first prompt.
And the other 80%.
Is providing context and refining the output.
So they're literally arguing with the bot.
They're debating it. They're correcting it. The author makes a huge point about this. You have to tell the AI when it's wrong. You have to say, no, that's deprecated. Use this library instead. Or, that's not the right tone. Make it more human.
See, that's where I think a lot of people check out, because that just sounds like more work than doing it myself. If I have to hold its hand the whole time, what's the point?
That is the million-dollar question. And the source has a really good answer. It's about leverage. Yes, the first 10 minutes of giving it context feels like work. It's hard. But once the model gets it, once it understands the constraints, it can do the next 4 hours of tedious execution in like 30 seconds.
So you pay a context tax upfront for a massive speed boost later.
Exactly. It's the difference between a junior intern you have to micromanage for every single task and a senior partner you can actually brainstorm with.
Yeah.
But you have to do the work to get it to that partner level.
The article says the best users aren't always the best coders or writers. They're the best at context loading.
It's a totally new skill. I mean, prompt engineering was the buzzword for a while. Now it's more like context management. Can you keep the model on track? Can you tell when it's starting to drift and nudge it back?
Which leads right into the second big idea, which I found both validating and also kind of annoying, the myth of the one model. Because I'll admit, I usually just have one tab open, I have my favorite AI, and I use it for everything. Meal planning, React components, you name it.
You and almost everyone else. But the source argues that in 2026, that's basically professional negligence.
Negligence. Wow, that's strong.
It sounds harsh, but I think it's accurate. The modders are diverging. They're specializing. The article breaks it down into reasoning engines and execution engines.
Okay, so what's the actual difference?
So a model like Claude Opus 4.6, which the article mentions a lot, is a reasoning engine. It's designed for logic, for planning. It's really good at architecting a complex system or outlining a legal argument. It thinks, slowly and carefully.
So that's your architect.
Right. But if you ask that architect to just write 1,000 lines of boilerplate code, it might be slow or it might overcomplicate things. For that, you want an execution engine like a Codex 5.3. It's an amazing typist. It knows every library, but it's not a deep thinker.
So the real workflow isn't just ask the bot. It's use Model A to create the blueprint, and then you hand that blueprint to Model B to do the actual construction.
And then maybe use in Model C something creative to design the user interface or write the ad
You
copy.
use a toolbox. You don't use a hammer for a screw.
And yet that's what we're all doing. We're using one general purpose tool for everything and then complaining that it's mediocre. Well, of course it is.
The source calls it a new kind of professional literacy, just knowing which tool to grab.
And knowing their quirks, that part was key for me. Developing an intuition for each one. Knowing, okay, GLM5 is amazing with real-time data, but it kind of struggles with this type of code, so I'll switch over to another model for that part of the task.
That sounds exhausting, though, keeping track of all that.
It is work, but that's the job now. I mean, if you're a knowledge worker in 2026, this is part of your toolkit.
Speaking of tools, we have to talk about the cost. The article gets pretty aggressive on this point. There's a section called Stop Being Cheap.
Yeah, they really don't pull any punches there.
The argument is basically, if you are using the free tier of any of these models, you're not really using AI. You're using a toy.
It sounds elitist, but from a technical standpoint, they have a point. The gap between the free versions and the paid frontier models isn't just about speed anymore, it's about fundamental capability.
They compare it to using a smartphone from 2015 versus one from today.
Right, the beat-up sedan analogy. If you test drive a rusted-out 1998 sedan, you're going to conclude that cars are just not worth it. But you'd be wrong about what a modern car can actually do.
So what are you paying for then? What's the real difference?
Two main things, context window and nuance. The free models have tiny context windows. They literally forget what you said 10 minutes ago. If you're trying to collaborate on a complex problem, that's impossible.
And the paid models can remember the whole conversation.
The frontier models, like the ones mentioned, can hold entire books worth of information in their active memory. That's what allows for that deep collaborative problem solving. The free models just physically can't do that.
So the takeaway is pretty simple. If your job depends on this, you need to pay the 20 or 30 bucks a month.
It's an investment in your own competence. Using a free model for professional work is like showing up to a construction site with a plastic toy hammer.
Okay, so we've got the mindset, which is collaboration. We have the toolkit, which is specialization. We've got our credit card out for the frontier models. But how do we actually get good at this?
This is my favorite part of the article, the 1-hour challenge.
I love that it's actionable, but I have to say, I hate this advice. It sounds so painful.
It is. That's the whole point. The challenge is this. Spend 1 hour a day with AI, but you're not allowed to use it for easy stuff.
No more draft this email for me.
None of that. The rule is pick a real, messy, complicated problem, something you've been avoiding because it feels unsolvable or just too tangled up in human stuff.
Why start with the hardest thing imaginable? Shouldn't you build up to that?
Because starting small just reinforces that old Google mindset. Easy questions get easy answers, and you don't learn the skill of collaboration. You have to pick a problem that forces you to go back and forth.
So walk me through it. I pick a messy problem, let's say a project that's totally stalled.
Yeah.
I open up my fancy paid model. What's step one?
You spend the first 20 minutes just dumping information. You explain the whole backstory, the history, the internal politics, why the last attempt failed. You just treat it like a new consultant you're briefing.
Okay, then what?
Then you ask for a very high-level starting point, and this is the critical part. It will probably give you a mediocre, generic answer.
And that's where I usually give up. See, it doesn't get it.
Right. But with the challenge, you have to push back. You have to say, no, that's wrong. You're assuming we have a marketing budget. We don't. Rewrite the plan, focusing only on organic growth. You wrestle with it.
So the goal isn't actually to solve the problem in that hour.
No. The goal is to rewire your own brain. You're learning how to think with the tool. You're discovering its blind spots. You're building that intuition for when to trust it and when to correct it.
It's like resistance training for your brain.
Exactly. If it's easy, you're not learning. The article says the struggle is where the new neural pathway gets built in your head, not the AI's.
But who has an extra hour every single day to just struggle with a chatbot? I mean, really?
The author's counter-argument is that if you don't find that hour now, you won't have deadlines to worry about in 5 years.
Ouch. Okay, so that brings us to the final section, the sort of sociological prediction.
The Great Divide. The author sees the workforce splitting, right now, into two camps. Camp 1 is the collaborators, the people struggling through that 1 hour a day, paying for the tools, building new workflows.
And Camp 2 are the skeptics.
The ones who tried it once, got a bad result, and walked away saying, it's all hype. The source argues they're using skepticism as a kind of defense mechanism. It gives them permission to not engage.
That really hit home. If I decide it's dumb, I don't have to do the hard work of learning it.
It's a very comfortable position to be in. You get to feel smart and just keep doing your job the way you always have.
For now.
For now. The prediction is that in 3 to 5 years, Camp 2 is going to wonder what happened to their careers. Not because an AI took their job, but because someone in Camp 1, operating with 10x leverage, made their role obsolete.
So it's not the AI writing better code than the engineer. It's the engineer who uses AI as a team of 10 that outperforms the solo engineer.
Right, and you just can't compete with that kind of output gap. It's insurmountable.
That completely reframes the question. It's not, will AI replace me? It's, will a person using AI replace me?
And the answer from this article is a pretty definitive yes.
Okay, let's wrap this up with something people can use. What's the single most important takeaway from all this?
Stop treating the prompt box like a search bar. That's it. Stop asking questions and start having conversations.
And use the right tool for the job. Don't be a maximalist.
Use the architect for thinking, the intern for doing, and for God's sakes, pay for professional-grade tools if you're a professional.
I want to leave everyone with a final thought, building on that 1-hour challenge. I want you to look at your to-do list. Find that one thing on there that you absolutely dread. The problem that's too complex, too messy.
The one you think a machine could never, ever help with.
Exactly that one. Tonight, open up one of these frontier models and just spend 20 minutes telling it the story of that problem. Don't even ask for a solution. Just give it the context. See what happens when you treat it like a partner instead of a vending machine.
You might be surprised at what you get back.
You might. And you might just save your career while you're at it. Thanks for this deep dive.
Anytime. See you next time.